G'day, and welcome back to Deere Farms with me, Farmer Jay. I'm going to do something kind of new this month. And I was thinking about this while I was going through my mod list to make the last video, which was the new and noteworthy mods for the last week of January. Anyway, because I had downloaded so many mods over the months to make my mod videos, I decided I would take a look at the best and the worst mods of January 2020. I decided to do this while I was cleaning out mods that I really did not want anymore, or I had downloaded and then realized they weren't worth the time and the effort. I hate to say that because somebody has put the time and effort into creating those mods. I have a couple of basic mods that I've created for myself. I don't want to say they're any better or any worse, but they're basic mods. And I don't feel comfortable submitting those to giants to be put on Modhub. Because I don't consider them to be, I hate to say this, new content. They're basically modifications of existing items that I have changed or improved, in my opinion, for my own personal use. And I'm doing it to teach myself modding. But like I said, because I don't feel they deserve a place on Modhub until I make something specifically new and unique. Now, I have said before, and keeping in mind with what I just said about my own mods, yes, everybody has to start somewhere. One of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to, and it's turning out to be more difficult than I thought, is convert the Felsburn map to Farming Simulator 22, because it was one of my favorite maps of Farming Simulator 19, along with Welker Farms. I'm not going to convert or even try and convert that one because that belongs to Black Sheep Modding. Okay, enough said about the how and the why. I'm also not going to spend a lot of time looking at each mod because you can find those in my mod reviews. Rather, I'll just quickly talk about why I believe they deserve a place in either the best, the worst, or honorable mentions categories. So let's start with the best mods of January. I would say the best mod so far to come out in January is Comsden Farms. It's a very detailed, beautiful English map that I wasn't sure I was going to like based on the description of it, but now that I've been playing it, it's fantastic. The author has spent a lot of time detailing the map. There is not a lot of wasted space that you find on most maps. He's made as much use of space as he possibly can while still giving the map a sense of depth. It's not a 4x4 or a huge map, it's just a standard size map, but it really feels like it's much bigger than it is. Alright, the next mod I'm going to talk about that I really think is useful, and I would say this is going to be tied. But I would say it's the Auger Wagon with Lime mod that allows you to fill an Auger Wagon with lime. Because you do have some pretty big Auger Wagons. And lime spreaders, as you know, well, this one's 14,000 liters. The Auger Wagon we just looked at, 77,000. So you could fill this one a couple of times over, and without having to keep driving back to the lime filling point or cheating in lime. That was one of the mods I've been waiting for a while. The next one is Insta Wash. Basically that one, when you're inside a tractor or a vehicle, doesn't have to be a tractor, it can be a combine or a truck, you just press the insert key and it cleans your vehicle. I like keeping my vehicles clean. For the most part, I'll still use the pressure washer, but it's handy once in a while just to be able to have that ability to clean the implement or the vehicle you're working with. Next up is definitely, I would have to say, either the Honey Pallet extension or the Honey Warehouse mods. And these are found under Animals, Bees. The warehouse itself acts both as a collection point and a distribution point. You can set it to either distribute honey to production facilities that use it, like the cereal factory, or you can just use it to store your honey pallets until you're ready to transport them to either the cereal factory or a sell point. The other one I said was the honey pallet spawn points, and it's hard to see because this map is not very flat, but I talked about this in my last video, and they come in a couple of different sizes. The largest one being a spawn point for 24 pallets of honey, which is 12 by 12. I installed this mod, as I said in my other video, and all of a sudden my honey production went through the roof. On my big farm that I've been playing ever since I did my beginner's guide, I've been installing beehive after beehive, and I haven't been getting that much more honey. So there's, like I said, there's a bug with the giant spawn point. But these spawn points, wow, I'm now getting the honey I thought I should be getting based on the math I did. So that's definitely worth replacing the giant honey spawn point, which only holds 1 or 2 pallets, with something that holds either 12 or 24. Next up is Increased Light Range mod. This is going to be hard to see. And it's going to be hard to show you without a comparison of having it on or off. But it definitely makes working at nighttime a lot better to see what you're doing. One of the things I found with 22 is that it's at nighttime it's a lot darker than FS19 was. So it's harder to work at night, and this mod definitely helps out. Next up, just because I think the author did a really, really good job on it, is the versatile four-wheel drive pack. And the reason I really think he did a good job on this is he included models all the way from 2012 up to the current model year of 2020. And much like Sid Modding does, he has given us a couple of extra options than Giants gave us in the model that came with a base game for the 2022. And the same with his previous year models. So that's why I think that deserves a spot in the top 10. The other one I'm going to talk about is the Seed Runner 3755XL. This is basically, it's found under Auger Wagons. It was in Farming Simulator 19, but for some reason Giants took it out in 22. It holds 4,000 liters of seed and fertilizer, or 8,000 liters of fertilizer or seed. So it can be a combination of both, or it can be all or nothing. The model Giants gave us instead was this one, the Conveyor. And I just have it's huge. It costs a lot of money. What's the difference in price there? $114,000 versus $12,650. This is going to be used a lot more often by farmers that don't have massive farms. And even the Conveyor for big farms, it's, I don't know. Anyway, don't know why they took it out. I'm really glad that a modder put this back into the game. This one I wasn't sure, the Lizard Subsoiler. It's found under plows, actually. But they call it a subsoiler. It's either a 6 meter or a 9 meter. Let's call it a subsoiler. Maybe a ripper. But the reason I like it is A, crossplay compatible, so it can be used on crossplay maps. And it's really easy to make either new fields or extensions to existing fields because it's straight, unlike the plows that make the V-shapes. The horsepower requirements, yeah, it's a little bit low if it was compared to real life. 9 meters, 320 horsepower, it'd be more like 400. Maybe a little bit higher than that even, based on the size of those shanks. That's just my opinion as a farmer, or an ex-farmer. But like I said, it definitely has its place, especially for console players, because it allows them to create extensions to the fields or combine fields. There is it came out in December, the field cultivator that allows you to use a cultivator to create a field. However, that still leaves the plowing state required, and this one doesn't, because it acts both because it acts as a subsoiler / plow. It removes the need for plowing the new land you just created. Enough said. Next up is the John Deere 8R8RT pack by Sid Modding. I really like this because these are converts from what he did in Farming Simulator 19, but they really give you options that Giants didn't include. I much prefer this US model. You can include fenders. There's so many things you can do with this. And you can see it comes with the 8R, the 8RT, and the 8RX. Sid Modding definitely put a lot of effort into these models. And yeah, I've replaced most of my fleet of in-game John Deere tractors with these models. Honorable mention, I was going to put this into must-haves, but I'm going to move this to honorable mentions, is the Case Maxim series. I'm not sure, this isn't a direct conversion. This is an upgraded version of the Case Maxim we found in Farming Simulator 19. The reason I think it's really good that it's back is because, well, no, I'm going to put it back in the top 10 because it's got as many options as Sid Modding puts into his stuff. Got all sorts of different wheel options. You can change your interior colors. You can add or have no beacon lights. You can change your fender types, front loader attacher, and your engines go all the way up to 175. This fills the medium tractor gap that for some reason Giants left out of Farming Simulator 22. All right, next up we have the vehicle sales system, which basically I haven't really experimented with it because it's PC only for those that don't know, because it is a script mod, and I just installed it and it's doubled or tripled the amount of used items that are available from the store, which is helpful if you're doing a new farm. It is configurable. You can change the amount. Like right now, as you can see, it's only giving a 9 or 13% discount, whereas most of Giant's discounts were 50 to 60%. So you can go into the XML file or the settings file and change the amount you want it discounted by. All right. The next mod I want to talk about is the By Productions input, and this is, I'm going to leave this in honorable mentions. What it allows you to do is it allows you to buy, where's the bakery? There it is. It basically allows you to buy go to our productions here, missing products. So each map, if you've watched my How to Pick a Starter map, has a certain number of production points on it. Elm Creek has the most, Erlengrad has the least. There's no sugar factory on any of the maps, so using that one again as an example, if I don't have room or I can't find room to place a sugar factory, I can always pretend I'm importing sugar and buy it. So it gives you options. It doesn't appear to give a discount, which is why it is in the honorable mentions. So it's not as though you're cheating in money or cheating in product just to be able to complete your production chain. Next up is the Horse Helper mod. This mod basically does the riding and the grooming for you at the end of each day for your horses. So all you have to do is keep them fed. Honorable mention because the game is the way Giants built the game was it's intended that you actually spend the time riding your horses. But let's say you're a big rancher or a horse stable. Let's face it, the owner doesn't do the riding for all, say, 12 or 20 horses that they have. A riding school, the riding's either done by employees or by people learning to ride. So it's kind of a compromise, I think, anyway. Another honorable mention is the Grow Now mod, and what that does is that allows you to use the backspace key to basically fast forward a growth cycle in 5 seconds. With the way the game's set up now, even if you want to grow the crop with the shortest time frame, which I think is it canola? Not canola, because I know canola is the longest. Potatoes. Or olives, or one of those products anyway that have like a 4 or 6 month growth rate, you still have to cycle through 6 days in the game, let's say. Unlike Farming Simulator 19, where you could cycle through a 24-hour period and get your crop growing. Again, it's an honorable mention. It's nice for people like me that make how-to videos to be able to grow a field quickly and say, okay, this is the difference between fertilizing and not fertilizing a field, and we can actually measure very quickly the yield difference. And the reason I'm giving an honorable mention is because not everybody wanted it to take 6 to 10 days to grow a crop. Some people want to play like they do with Farming Simulator 19, and this kind of gives them the option of doing that. So that's why I've included it on the list. Alright, now, very quickly, let's talk about the worst mods that I think came out in January. The supply and transport contract missions. So we have, well, this is a small map, so it doesn't have a lot of options. But here's a mission to supply grapes to the fast food restaurant, and I don't even think there's a fast food restaurant on this map, but it wants you to supply 34,000 liters of grapes in 12 hours. Well, playing the game normally, $12, unless you've got a whole pile built up in storage, yeah, no fast food restaurant. So it's asking me to deliver product to a location that doesn't even exist. And look at the amount of money it's paying. So let's say I did have 34,000 liters of grapes in storage. It's paying almost 100,000. The corn mission, 217,000 liters of corn. That's about, I guess that price is about right. But again, fast food restaurant. Where's the fast food restaurant on this map? Oh, no, there is one. Okay, so I take that back. But still, I think this mod would have been much better if it had been grow a crop, kind of like a futures contract, where it says you have X number of months and we would like to buy how much was it? We would like to buy 200,000 liters of corn off of you. That gives you an incentive to plant an extra field of corn and make sure you can meet your contract. Kind of like farmers do in real life. They don't just plant X number of fields in the hopes that they're going to be able to sell it all. They will hedge their bets by taking out contracts either with the local co-ops, grain silos, ethanol plants. If you've watched Millennial Farmer, he ships his corn to a couple of different places, and while he's got some left over at the end of the year, most of his corn is accounted for based on the assumption that he's going to get X amount of bushels per acre. Anyway, that's how I think that should have been set up. Another mod, I don't have this one installed, is the extended bale wrap colors. It more or less gives you every color option to use as bale wrap. Why? I don't see the point in it. So I'm going to leave that, put that one in the worst category. Oh, and it lets you randomize, so you can have a rainbow of wrap bales in your fields. Some people might find that cute. I don't. One I had hoped to show you, but for some reason it downloaded but didn't install properly, is the small workshop. Anyone who played Farming Simulator 19 knows the workshop I'm talking about. It was a small placeable one. And it's been converted to Farming Simulator 19. Farming Simulator 22 from Farming Simulator 19. And they didn't upgrade the textures. They didn't make the windows look real like... I mean, look at the windows here. They actually look like... Well, it's hard to see inside because they've got blinds. But let's go back to the farmhouse. And it actually looks like there's an interior to the farmhouse. Sorry, I've got flight mode enabled. It kind of irks me. Like I said, I have figured out how to convert a mod. I have figured out how to modify its production facilities, but I'm not going to package those and put them onto Modhub until I can come up with something that's particularly unique. I'm going to use Sid modding again, or I'll use the gentleman that did the Versatile. Well, the 4-wheel drive pack from Versatile's new. It wasn't... I think there was the 2020 model or something came out towards the end of the lifespan of Farming Simulator 19. But these are his own models. Sid, with his 8 Series tractor pack, has upgraded them for Farming Simulator 22. They have unique engine sounds. He's put work into it. He hasn't just converted the base model and left it at that. So like I said, I have a hard time and I feel really bad talking about these because they are not just, all they are is a pure conversion. So enough said about the small workshop. The next thing that's starting to bug me is pallets and big bags. People are taking, and I don't have any installed because, like I said, I went through my computer and I cleared it out. A lot of the useless mods that I don't want. But they're taking, let's take the pig food bag here. And all they're doing is changing the design on the front of the pig food bag and calling it a new mod. Same with pallets and IBCs. I've seen mods that have, instead of herbicide, this exact same pallet that now contains diesel. Okay, before I get too worked up, moving on. The next mod that I see absolutely no need for is the sleep only at night mod. And if you remember from Farming Simulator 19, if you went to your house and you tried to sleep during the daytime, it would tell you you're not tired, and you'd have to fast forward time until the point where it would let you sleep. Again, all somebody has done is taken that, can put it into Farming Simulator 22. So instead of being able to go, if I wanted to sleep right now till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, well, that's my choice. Especially with seasons and nothing to do in the winter time. So that's another mod I see absolutely no use for. I'm not going to touch 3-meter cultivators or anything else 3-meter because I think everybody already knows how I feel about those. Actually, no, I will touch those because they do have some value to them. For the most part, 8 out of 10 times, these are people who have actually walked through the process of creating a model in Blender or Maya or 3D Studio Max. They built the model. A cultivator is not a complex model to build, so they walked through the actual process from start to finish and then have exported it to the game, and it's probably given them confidence to move on to something more complicated. I know because I used to build models for Microsoft Train Simulator, and I started off with basic models and worked my way up. So yes, there's a ton of 3-meter cultivators out there, but I can justify it because they are serving a purpose. All right. Moving on to things that I have a hard time justifying is this map. This is called the construction map. If I zoom out, and if you've watched DJ Goham, you'll also know his views on this map. All the author has done is taken Elm Creek, you can even see the highway coming in here, and going out, where is it, down here? The side roads. So all they've done is they've taken the Elm Creek map, flattened it out. I'm going to fly. This is why I enabled flight mode. You can see it's flat. And you can see where the train couldn't be flattened at the edges of the map where giants had put it to match the train. Anyway, they've flattened this map out and they've called it a construction map. Two things here. One, I think the author is trying to copy had to think of the moment for the name of it, is Copy No Man's Land by Alien Jim, which is if you want to call it a construction map, you start out with very little. In fact, you don't even start out with fields like this gentleman has given us. You start out with a small budget and you have to build your farm and add production buildings. And farms and silos and stuff like that as you go. This was probably the author's first attempt at creating anything map-wise in the Giants editor. You recognize the barn from Elm Creek? Look at this. Good luck getting a tractor in and out of there. I can fix this with the landscaping tool in about 30 seconds. And the landscaping tool is not even as hard to use. Not hard to use. It's not as easy to use as the Giants editor. The Giants editor has more advanced smoothing and landscaping tools than the in-game landscaping tools, if that makes sense. All right, my final criticism of things just being converted over is I love John Deere, and I'm going to turn off flight mode for now. I don't need flight mode enabled. This is a conversion of the model we had in Farming Simulator 19. Nothing else, pure and simple. I don't think they've even taken the time to upgrade the sounds to use the sounds in the Farming Simulator 22. Now this is Sid Moddings, yes. This is a newer model year than that one is, so the shape's slightly different. Again, goes back to what I was talking about, the difference between something like Sid Modding, who takes time to create a brand new shape, as opposed to just copying something over. Let's do this again and we'll show you the detail. There we go. You've got the startup screens on the monitors. Cab's not that much different, but then again, both interior cabs are pretty good. The one Giants made and the one Sid did. See, you can hear the engine revving here as it speeds up and changes gears. And it's got a better startup and shutdown sound to it. Alright, I had to put my recording on pause for a minute while I collected my thoughts. I'm not going to keep rehashing the fact because, like I said, modders need a place to start. The problem is, and I'm not saying I wasn't disappointed in other mods released by Giants in previous years, not Giants, but released on Modhub in previous years. But it used to be Giants pretty much made sure that it was a new and unique model that was put on Modhub. Something like a conversion of the old small workshop wouldn't have made it through quality test. Well, not quality testing. It might have passed quality testing, but they wouldn't have considered it unique enough to put onto Modhub. But I think that there's been, well, they confirmed in the forums, there's been a change of policy at the company, and I think they're doing this partly to encourage new modders, but also to try and combat all of the new mod rehosting sites that have popped up. And by allowing more content to be put onto Modhub, they're trying to persuade modders to put their stuff onto Modhub instead of these third-party hosting sites. Where I think this falls flat on its face is this 8R, for example. I'm just not going to use it. But there are lots of people who are going to download it and then they're going to go on Modhub and they're going to rate it, and they're going to give it a horrible rating. And that is going to be even more detrimental to the morale of the modder than had they got a polite but friendly email from Giant saying, "Good job so far, but can you do X, Y, or Z to make this model unique," instead of just converting it. Again, using the small workshop as an example, could you have improved the texture slightly? Could you have made the windows look like they have some depth to them? Could you have done something to the model to make it new and unique? And that would have been far better than letting the modder get a 1-star rating on Modhub. Anyway, that's my look at the best and the worst mods of January. Thank you for listening to me, and we will see you in the next video.